just feels like we're getting attacked on every front. And the Department of Education that has been around since the President Carter years, was already being slowly dismantled because of an executive order. Thousands of employees had already been laid off. But now it feels like the final nail has been placed in the coffin with this U.S. Supreme Court decision. So just help us understand the ruling itself. I know you're not a lawyer, you are an education expert, but you know this stuff really well. So just help us understand what's happening with this.
Well, first of all, it's good to be with you, Ariva, despite the troubling circumstances that bring us together here. This is a kind of unprecedented and disturbing decision by the Supreme Court relative to the future of the Department of Education. But it is important to put it in perspective. You know, we have an education in this country, an education system that's already run by and empowered by state government rather than the federal government. It's state government that creates the terms and conditions under which schools are financed, under which they're governed, under which they operate, and then it's local jurisdictions, you know, cities and towns that actually operate the schools. The federal government contributes 8% of the total spend on education. So from a financial standpoint, they're a minor player. And the idea that this somehow dismantling the Department of Education returns responsibility for education to the states is very misleading, because it's never gone away from the states. Now, having said that, the federal government provides important functions, and you've alluded to some of them in your introduction, in terms of civil rights protections for students all across the country. Now, it must be said that those same guarantees do exist at the state level. And there are state structures in virtually all of our states to allow for students to appeal. For example, decisions are made at the local level, get appealed to the state level. Now, the federal government is a third level of appeal, and that is going to be diminished by this decision, and that's a problem. But it won't eliminate the capacity for parents to step forward on behalf of their kids and ask for action.
What is up, YouTube? My name is Happiness, and welcome to my channel. So we're going to respond to the comments to which you gave me from the last video that I made. So the first one says, if the DOE is was so needed and so wonderful, can someone explain how as a country we've slipped away from top spot in education during the same time frame as the DOE? Another person says, teachers are giving children sex changes without parental consent. Why are they doing that? Why are teachers focusing on racism and not curricular activity? No. Another person says, no, they don't care about groomers. Another one says, who cares? Department of Education graduates our kids only being able to read at third grade level if they can read at all. That's also cannot define a woman. As you can see, we do care. It's why we are dismantling the Department of Education. So the comments to which I'm getting is that people are agreeing with President Donald Trump to dismantle this education because maybe it will help with the waste fraud, to which this was always the agenda of Trump's return in the first place. But let's still continue with these videos to hear what people have to say.
$72 million being pulled in 24 hours is a problem. See, Republicans are playing politics with our kids. And now, this will again have a negative impact on the educational outcomes here in the state of Wisconsin. There is no valid justification that you can give me for not providing funds that were promised to school districts across the country which support low-income students, the most vulnerable student population. They took $6.8 billion overnight from districts that have school years that are starting within the next 6 weeks in some states. Y'all can't be mad at MPS for not turning in their paperwork and not getting funds, and then not be mad at the federal government, not be mad at the Trump administration Department of Education for doing the exact same thing. They're stealing money from our kids, and they're making the education worse for our children. The rationale that they gave was not enough. So what the current administration is telling you is that if you are a low-income student, your educational outcomes don't matter. What they are telling you, if you are a migrant worker here in America, and let this be straight, a lot of these migrant workers, some of these people are here legally, they're students, they're kids, your kids don't matter. So all the kids that we have in MPS at South Division High School and Bayview High School who are here legally, and the parents are here legally, are no longer going to have the necessary funds in order for them to thrive academically and truly live out the American dream. And a lot of y'all going to be real quiet because Trump got his name on it. Folks love to talk about picking yourself up by the bootstraps, but here again we have another example of the administration cutting kindergartners' damn bootstraps. It's disgusting to me.
The Department of Education this morning finally released their June status report. If you don't remember, the Department of Education is required to release a monthly status report on the 15th or the middle of the month each month on how IDR applications are being processed and how PSLF buyback requests are being processed. And I hate to say it, but there is not really great news in this June report. As you can see in the numbers, they processed 186,000 IDR applications, and there's still a 1.5 million backlog. That's about 35% fewer applications processed in June than we saw in May. And the PSLF buyback backlog is just getting worse and worse. So you can see they only processed 2,200 PSLF buyback requests, and the backlog has grown significantly to 65,000. That's also about 30% fewer requests. And you have to remember that yesterday the Supreme Court allowed the layoffs at the Department of Education to move forward. So we were already seeing a slowdown, and now I'm very concerned about a future slowdown, especially with how long PSLF buyback is taking. On the IDR application front, I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing if you automatically have the IRS link your data on the application using the IRS data retrieval tool, those applications are still processing very quickly, 3 to 7 days. However, if you are submitting any manual documents in your IDR plan change request or IDR application, those are just getting like automatically put into like a 90-day, like, we're sorry, this is going to take a long time, and they're not even really touching those. I've actually spoken to a couple borrowers that have been waiting since May for their IDR application to be processed, and it still hasn't been processed yet because they submitted manual paperwork. So not good news coming out of the Department of Education on how fast they are processing this. And this also comes as there's 7 million borrowers in the SAVE plan that may be wanting to do something different as interest starts on August 1st. I don't know. Can they handle that? It's not looking that great. So more to come. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of stories about this in the next couple days, but I wanted to show you the real data and get this to you so that you can understand what's happening with the Department of Education and income-driven repayment plan processing.
Okay, let me just look at one last comment. So people were just fine before the DOE and will be just fine again. Hopefully there'll be a lot of smarter. I've never have seen any other group that does such a horrible job for its consumer, but constantly demands more money. No. Go find a job that doesn't rely on taxpayers to pay your bills. Yes, guys, so there you go. In terms of people's reaction to the dismantling of the Department of Education. And also this woman who says that, wow, as a special education teacher, this is horrible. So yeah, it's so sad. It's so really sad. But comment down below on your thoughts in terms of the dismantling of the Department of Education, because it really seems like it's going to affect people in a good way and in a bad way. I mean, like, if it happens that, like dismantling the Department of Education will help in the improvement of education in America, then that's a good thing. But despite that, guys, thank you for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe, and let's meet up to the next video, and peace out.